Police emergency.
Someone just threw a big concrete slab through my back window and ran off.
Before we get into the video, do not forget to like, comment and subscribe. Dale Cregan, the man responsible for luring police officers PC Nicola Hughes and PC Fiona Bone to their deaths, was one of the most manic and out-of-control criminals Greater Manchester Police had to deal with for a very long time. Even before his murder conviction, a former detective went on record and said they had reliable intel that Cregan was armed with guns and hand grenades, and that provoking the man that was on the run for the murder of Mark Short and his dad would be costly, and he was right. Now, I'm sure we're all well aware of the murders of Mark and David Short, and that it was the result of a feud between two families in East Manchester, and the murder location was the Cotton Tree pub. During the murder trial of the two officers, a court heard how Dale and his mate Anthony Wilkinson had shoved a grenade in the mouth of a man they held captive while on the run from police. The victim, Jermaine Ward, who was bullied, and believe me, that's putting it mildly, told the court, as well as having a grenade shoved in his mouth, he was also threatened with being shot, as well as his entire family being wiped out. Jermaine Ward was 24 years old, and he was held captive and had been used as a slave and a lackey for 2 entire weeks. That's 14 days he was forced to do Cregan's bidding. During the murder of the father and son, Jermaine was questioned as to his involvement. He did admit that he had driven Cregan and Anthony to the pub, but did not witness the shooting. He was told that he acted as the getaway driver of a man under duress, and he did this because he had a gun tapped to the side of his head. Then the nationwide hunt kicked in, and then the police rattled Dale Cregan's cage. At just 29 years old at the time, this was a man who had no fear. He had one eye, but he was able to battle every and anyone. While Cregan was on the run, he had hidden out in West Yorkshire, and he was supplied with food, news, and an apartment by his mate, Mohammed Ali. So armed with a semi-automatic Glock and a grenade, he made a phone call one day to report a burglary at a house in Hattersley, Greater Manchester on September 18th. When PC Fiona Bone and PC Nicola Hughes arrived at the scene, they were ambushed. They were unarmed, they were incapacitated almost immediately, and they were riddled with gunshots. Cregan fired and fired and fired and fired, and then he threw a grenade at their dying bodies to ensure maximum damage would be made. The injuries sustained to these two women were horrific, to the point that their officers had a gaping hole in their bodies, as well as gunshot wounds, of course. Now, once he turned into a serial murderer, he went to the police station and handed himself in at Hyde Police Station. Cregan, handing himself in, ended a 42-day hunt for the one-eyed criminal. When he walked up to the front desk and spoke to the clerk, he says, "I'm wanted by the police and I've just done 2 coppers." When he was handcuffed, the arresting officer asked, "Are you armed?" Now, brazenly, Cregan replied, "I dropped the gun at the scene. I've killed 2 officers. You were hounding my family, so I took it out on you lot." Cregan's only regret over his crime was that the police officers should have been men and not women. And Dale Cregan was jailed for life in 2013 for a series of murders, including 2 officers and the father and son criminal duo. This meant that Cregan was a serial killer, and his sentence is one of the rare whole life sentences, which means he will never be freed from prison. Ultimately, he will die locked up. Stay safe.